Hello everyone, I'm Mateusz and we are here with Chuck today and we will be talking about Chuck's adventures in Iraq as a soldier. My first question is, why did the war start and who started it?
Well, the first Gulf War started in 1990 when Iraq invaded Kuwait and annexed it as their 19th state or province. And because of that, a coalition was formed by President Bush and the UN, and they went in with the endeavor of liberating Kuwait and removing all of the Iraqis from Kuwait. And so that's how it started.
How long were you a soldier?
I was a soldier for 7 years, 7 years I was in the Army.
What was the most dangerous situation?
For me personally, the vehicle I was in was hit by small arms fire a couple of times, but it was an armored vehicle, so it was not a concern for us. But one day while we were in an attack, I remember standing in the turret of my vehicle and looking off to the right and watching two different vehicles from the 1st to the 35th Armor Scouts hit mines. And I thought to myself, oh, they're in a minefield over there. And it never occurred to me that the minefield was where I was also. And a few minutes later, I had to get something off the vehicle, and so I had gotten out of the vehicle and was walking around. And during that time, another vehicle in our group pulled up next to me, maybe 5 meters away from me, and hit a mine also. And I immediately got back on my vehicle and never let my feet touch the ground, at least in that area, again.
Chuck, what did you do every day in Iraq?
Well, I was an assistant operations officer with our brigade headquarters. And so I did a lot of planning and executing of plans. But one of the things that I did every day was, and one of the things that was very important to me, the most important thing to me, was maintaining my relationship with the two most important people with me. And that was God and my wife. And so every day I read my Bible, every day I prayed, and every day I wrote my wife a letter so that she would know that I loved her. And so I have all the letters with me. And some people would say, well, how do you have nothing happened today? What do you write your wife about? And I say, it doesn't matter that I have some important story or exciting story to tell her. What is important is that I tell her that I love her and I miss her. And I did that every day. And I have all the letters here, and I put them together in a photo album many years ago as a Christmas present. And now it's kind of like a journal between Vicky and I for my time in Iraq. And it has a few photographs in it, and it has letters, and the letters may be exciting or they may tell exciting stories. Here's one. I'm glad to hear you have a job. Vicky was looking for a job, and so she had gotten a job, and I hope that you're called often and enjoy it. It was just for elementary school. Is it just for elementary school? If you want to visit Dana, go ahead. And Dana was her best friend. She lived a couple of miles away from her, where we lived in Germany.
Okay, next question is, when you were asleep, were you afraid you would die?
That's an interesting question, and no, in general, no, I was not. But I remember that the war actually started while I was asleep, and we were woken up about 4 o'clock in the morning with a panicked call that there were incoming Scud missiles, and my first thought was that I was going to die in a sleeping bag while I was asleep, but it turned out to be a false alarm.
Have you ever killed someone in a fight?
Well, during the war, the answer is no. And during the war, no, I did not kill anybody or hurt anybody. I did take a few prisoners, but I never did kill anybody. And I can answer that emphatically because I never loaded my weapon.
What are the Iraqi people like, and what is their traditions?
Well, other than capturing a few prisoners, I never really met any Iraqis. I did have several encounters with Saudi Arabians, and so they were very polite, but my impression from being in Saudi Arabia was that they were the most unhappy people in the world.
What's the strangest thing you saw in Iraq?
I saw a lot of strange things. I saw some dead people, I saw burned out vehicles, I saw oil well fires, but probably the strangest thing and the thing that sticks in my mind the most is one day driving through Saudi Arabia, we went by a stock yard where they bought and sold sheep and camels, and there was a dead camel in the parking lot between the lines, like somebody had parked their camel there and it had died. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, but then I drove by there a month later and the same dead camel was sitting there in the same place a month later, and I thought, that's strange.
What was your role as a soldier?
Well, one of the things, being an assistant brigade operations officer, we helped control movements, kept track of units. Basically, I spent most of the time on the radio coordinating activities with our higher headquarters and our lower subordinate units. One day, actually before the war started, we were having trouble getting all of our vehicles in from the port to our assembly area. Many vehicles had gotten lost in between, and so one day I was given a helicopter as my own personal helicopter. It was very exciting. And so I had a pilot, two pilots and a helicopter, and we flew from the assembly area to the port, which was about maybe 250 kilometers. And I had binoculars, and every time we saw a vehicle that was broken down on the side of the road, and it wasn't the American vehicle that was broken down, it was a Saudi Arabian vehicle that was carrying the American vehicle that was broken down. We would look at it through the binoculars, see if it belonged to us. If it did, I would land and talk to the people that were with it and see what we needed to do to recover the vehicle. And it was a very fun day for me because I spent the entire day with my own personal helicopter flying me wherever I wanted to go. And it's one of my fond memories.
Do you keep in touch with friends for the army?
I do keep in touch with a few friends. One in particular, Mark Ray, a few others that I've had good experiences with. And it's not just from my time in the war in Iraq, but in the whole 7 years that I was in the Army, I have many good friends that I had from that time.
So, this is all for today. I hope you learned a lot from this episode, because I enjoyed it much. Thanks for being my guest.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed being here.
Thanks.